Alabama, Texas A&M this weekend in College Station, too. Remember the last time Alabama went over there?
Yep. And this is a better A&M team.
That was with the Zach Calzada team.
Yeah. With the Zach Calzada team, and he played out of his mind.
Out of his mind.
I tell you what, I was pretty impressed with Max last week. There's a couple throws where he made his mind up where he's going to throw the ball. Kind of like we've seen Jalen Milroe do some. Starting the second half, he did not see the guy coming. He sat there and spit it out right to the Arkansas player to kind of get them back in the game. They cannot turn the ball over like they did last week and win this one. But Max, man, when they were on time, they were on time. The ball looked good getting out of his hands. He was throwing guys open. I think the running element from Max Johnson is going to be huge this week. And you're in a hard place if you're Texas A&M, because if you do run, you need to run Max Johnson. And I'm not talking about just the natural scrambles on 3rd and 7 when nobody's there that he takes off and gets the first down against a very good Alabama defense. But you have to run him some to win this game, in my opinion. But by doing that, you do risk getting him hurt. And he's already your number 2. There's not a ton behind him, right? So it is a big risk. But if you win this one, and if you look at the way A&M's playing up front right now, they're playing better than what they did at the beginning of the year. We questioned their offensive line's ability to move people around with all the experience they had coming back. We know how talented they are. They weren't running the ball like they needed to. They seem to be kind of getting in that groove. And Max has already proven that he can play in big games. He's won in big stages, won down in the swamp when he was at LSU. Like, we know Max isn't going to be afraid. I think this is a somewhat even matchup. Here's the biggest question of the game for me when it comes to Alabama. How much drop back are we going to see from Jalen Milroe? Because this secondary for A&M is very talented. DeBerry, Grimes, we can go down the list. The line, I think A&M's going to be able to stop the run. Teams have been able to stop Bama's run pretty consistently. So it's going to come down to, can you bottle Jalen Milroe up and not let him take off and kill you multiply like Mississippi State did? I think A&M has better athletes than Mississippi State. And what type of passing game are we going to see from Jalen Milroe? We've seen the same story with him. It's been the same style pass game, 3-step, 5-step. It's a drop-back game. They're going to keep going with it. How effective can he be? Because he was very, very effective against Mississippi State, but he's not going to just be able to out-athlete a lot of these guys from Texas A&M.
I agree with your point that this seems like a fairly even matchup heading into this, which is pretty exciting. I've been a big Max Johnson fan for a while now, ever since he transferred over from LSU. Kid's father won a Super Bowl. Like he comes from a family of football. I do think they'd be a little bit better positioned with Connor Wegman at quarterback, just the way that he played late last year and early this season. Connor Wegman is going to be a special football player. And like I said, that loss at Miami is looking less and less bad because Miami is a good football team. And I'm glad that Texas A&M didn't panic after that loss because they dismantled Arkansas, especially in the second half of that game. For Alabama, I thought last week you finally saw them, Tommy Rees, tailoring the offense a little bit more to Jalen Milroe, a little bit less drop back. It's easier to do against Mississippi State. Alabama was able to kind of
you can get out of holes against
pick and choose whatever they wanted, get the run game going, stuff like that. I like Alabama to go in and win this football game. And like I said, the defense is going to keep them close in every game. So how are you going to match up when the defense on the other side is going to be pretty strong too? I think both quarterbacks are going to have their hands full. I wouldn't be surprised if both quarterbacks at some point in the game turn the football over. One of the things that's interesting, and obviously this has been a conversation in my household throughout the season because my wife, like yours, is an Alabama fan. Nick Saban hasn't really been chewing people out on the sidelines throughout this season and really a lot of last year. Against Mississippi State, you really saw him like getting onto players.
Especially after the snap when Jalen Milroe wasn't looking.
Like actually chewing them out in a way that you saw during those big championship runs that they've had in years past. To me, I think it sort of said like, hey, we're in this year. We can win the SEC West. We can win the SEC. We can go to the college football playoff. I just thought it was interesting to pull that out against Mississippi State. Maybe that was extra motivation. Hey, on the road against a team that
don't look ahead.
Don't look ahead, that kind of stuff. Or let's see if that rears its head again as you face, Texas A&M and the Tennessees and the LSUs of the world.
Blaine, how are you feeling when you look at this game? Texas A&M 3.5-point underdog.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the over/under's 50. This feels like a low-scoring rock'em sock'em.
Absolutely. One thing I'm kind of looking at, which is kind of surprising, I'm looking at this Alabama pass rush. I go back to the Texas game. This is probably the closest offensive line that talent-wise you're going to play since Texas.
Agreed.
And you didn't touch Quinn Ewers the entire game. Can Dallas Turner, can these guys for Alabama get to Max Johnson with 4? Can they get to with 4? If they can pressure Max, get him off his spot with 4, I think Alabama's going to have a lot better chance to win this football game. This is going to be a huge game for Jalen Milroe, right? This has to be the game for him to where he comes out and plays like he's supposed to play. You got to tailor this offense around him. Texas A&M's good on defense. Their secondary, especially in the back end, they're nice. Jalen will make mistakes in this game, but I think Max will make more mistakes in this game. I like Alabama in this game.
Well, here's 2 things as well. It's always a game of staying on schedule, right? Who can stay on schedule? Do you believe that if you were going to take, okay, and we have to remember, staying on schedule is also not getting procedural penalties. Alabama has struggled. Procedural penalties, especially on the road. You are going to go into an absolute madhouse. College Station is going to be, that place is going to be vibrating. You're going to be able to feel it from space. If you're in the space station, they're going to be like, why is the space station shaking? Well, it's because everybody's freaking out at Kyle Field right now. How many procedural penalties are you going to get? You cannot afford these mistakes.
Yep.
Hey, I didn't get the call. I'm looking at the sideline. You bounced the ball off me. Oh, the center moved it a couple times. Oh, he snaps it over my head. That could be the difference in the game. So who can stay on schedule? That's the run game. That's procedural penalties. The second thing, and something that I think is humongous, is when you look at the skill position players. A&M's got Evan Stewart. They've got Anais Smith, right? They've got Noah. They've got Donovan Green at tight end. They've got some other young guys that can help with the skill position. Who is going to step up from that group, including special teams? We saw a punt return for a touchdown last week by Anais Smith against Arkansas. So there's so many bits and pieces of this, but I will go back, and I know we don't do keys to victory until Friday. But again, who can stay on schedule? Because if A&M can run the ball against Alabama, it's going to do 2 things. They're going to be able to get in 2nd and 6 more. It's going to open that bag up for Bobby Petrino more to be able to dip into it, and it's going to slow down that Alabama pass rush because the play action's going to be there and they're not going to be in predictable downs, which protects Max, and it protects that offensive line without having to, it gives a whole new term to Max protect. But again, is this a game where mature Alabama shows up on offense? Because I think mature Alabama will show up on defense, right? I think they will. But offensively, if Alabama can't run the ball, they are in trouble in this game. Because I'll go back to it. Jalen Milroe is not going to be able to just out-athlete everybody on Texas A&M's team. They're not going to let them do it. They're too athletic on defense. They've stacked too many recruiting classes on recruiting classes with guys that can run. So if you can't run the ball without Jalen Milroe, and I love what Jace McClellan's been able to do, and it is an if, and if you can't run it with Jalen Milroe, and he can't get you out of 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 8 because you break contain and he gets 8.5, can you consistently sit in 3-step and 5-step drop when DJ Durkin is mixing coverages, something I don't think he's done a great job of this year? Just go back and look at the Miami game and be effective. That, to me, is the fascinating point in this game.
I know LSU's not out of this thing, and we've been circling LSU at Alabama all offseason, and Ole Miss, for that matter, is not out of this thing either. But doesn't it kind of feel like this is for the SEC West this weekend?
Well, because if you look, right, A&M and Bama still both have to play LSU. If you're LSU this weekend, so one of these teams has to lose, right? One of them has to lose for you to get in anyway. You still play both of them at the end. So it kind of is what it is. But whoever wins this one has got a big-time inside track, especially, I think A&M goes to LSU, unless I'm mistaken. But I know Alabama hosts LSU. So if you're A&M,
yeah, they go to LSU.
This is one you
last game of the season.
You have to have it. Because if here's how it works. A&M wins this one, right? And then let's say you lose at LSU. Well, LSU goes to Bama, and LSU loses. That's 2 losses for LSU. You're out. And I'm assuming A&M wins the rest of them, which is a big assumption. I agree with that. You can afford that loss at the end if Bama beats LSU, right? Because you hold the tiebreaker over Bama, and then LSU would have 2 losses, so you go play in the SEC championship game, which is something that we've never seen before.
You go to Tennessee, you go to Ole Miss.
I was going to ask, where's Ole Miss? Wow, they go to Tennessee and to Ole Miss and to LSU. Wow. Yeah, so this weekend, find out a lot more.
We know it's fall. You can feel it in the air, right? You want to take your style to the next level? We know you got to look good to play good, okay? It's no secret. Great example, Bengals come out in the Stormtroopers, all whites with the white helmet. They got 1 win on the year. Oh, yeah, it was that game. Better you look, better you play, better you feel. It's pretty simple. So whether you're attending an important meeting, networking event, tailgate, or you just want to simply impress your colleagues. I don't know. Maybe that girl at the office that you're kind of, a little bit in L with. That's all right. Wear something nice. All right, add some fresh layers to your fall style with Indochino. Go to Indochino.com. Use our code BOOSTER to get 10% off any purchase of $399 or more. That's INDOCHINO.com. Promo code BOOSTER to save that 10%. The ordering process is really easy.
Yeah,
for the
it's great.
suits we got. They have an incredible selection. I mean, if you're looking for it, they have it. I promise you. Go check that out and use that promo code.
I am not here to talk about the fact that the Aggies are 4-1 and not ranked, and the AP poll thinks Fresno State is somehow better. I'm not here to talk
You're definitely not here
I
to
think
talk
you're here to talk
about
about it.
Let's write that down. He's not here to
What
talk
I
about
am
it.
here to talk about is the front seven of A&M versus Bama's offensive line.
Here we go.
14 sacks over the last
Here we
over the
go.
last two SEC games.
Yep.
Dominated, absolutely dominated. Durkin finally learned what a blitz is. We're getting to the QB. I want to know if you guys think we're going to hold up versus Bama's offensive line. Haven't seen them play much this year. Want to know if they've been a little bit shaky. Has Mississippi State gotten to them? What are they looking like?
They have. They have been shaky. They've struggled to be able to run the ball.
They're
big.
Big and shaky.
Yeah, they are. I'll say this. I think what you're going to see, and this is typically how it goes, I wonder, because here's the thing when you're facing a guy like Jalen Milroe. Do you sit here and say, early in the game, when we get in third and passing, because I think Bama's going to struggle to run the ball. I think there's going to be a lot of 3rd and 6s and more. So early in the game, when we get in those third and predictable passing downs, do we rush 4 and spy this man, right? Do we spy him and try and keep him in the pocket, make him escape up through the pocket into the spy? Or do we pressure this man?
Pressure.
And if you pressure him, if you pressure him, though, you better get him.
I wouldn't.
Like if you pressure him,
I wouldn't.
If you pressure him, you better get him. Either that or
who are you going to spy him with that he can't outrun?
Well, again, it's a lot more how you funnel them, right? I think A&M's got guys that can do that, but they don't have Harold Perkins. But when I look at it, you say, all right, if you're going to pressure him and you show that pressure and you're going to play man on the outside, he's going to snap it and let that thing go, and then it turns to a 50-50 ball. Do you trust DeBerry enough? Do you bring Grimes? And typically, I would never say this. I would never say I would maybe, when I brought pressure, most of the time, bring it from depth. I would maybe zone blitz this cat more than anything because it almost turns into a spy. That's what it almost turns into without losing too many in coverage where you can still funnel the ball where you want to in some aspects. But the answer typically is all of the above. That's typically what the answer is.
Yeah, I don't think, to be honest, we saw what happens when quarterback has time versus Miami. And do you just pick our secondary apart?
But see, Miami's offensive line, I'm telling you,
that's Van Dyke, and Van Dyke is a thrower.
Well, he is, but Miami's offensive line's better than Bama's offensive line. I'm sorry.
But why blitz this guy? Why blitz him? Why? One, if it's me, you got to keep integrity up front on the defensive line.
Well,
I'm not trying to get to him. I'm trying to hold him. He's not going to pick. Jalen Milroe's not going to pick you apart.
Well, here's the way I look at it. If you're going to pressure him, I would not show it. I would not show the pressure and give him the ability to throw the hot, right? Because if you show where you're bringing it from, there's an answer to that. All right, you show him bluff, that's great. That's fine. But why not at the beginning of the game say, okay, listen, if Alabama's going to live in 11 personnel and if they're going to go in 10 personnel on 3rd and 6 or more, why would I not see if I can get there with 4 first? Why not see if I can get there? Because where's Jalen Milroe's mistakes being made? They're not being made on the run.
In the pocket.
When he escapes. It's from the pocket when he's deciding where to throw the ball before the snap is. So if it's me, I am going to bring 4. I'm going to see if I can get there, maybe have a spy. And if Bama's offensive line, and you play games and do all the type of stuff up front you want to do, if they prove that they can hold up and Jalen Milroe somehow has figured out Blue's Clues and is picking us apart, then I start heating his ass up. I start showing it and I start going. I start showing it and I start bailing it. I start showing it from one side and bringing it from the other and turn this game into a game of inception. It's a dream within a dream within a dream. They'll be spinning
Tommy Reese can help with that. Tommy
sideline.
Reese is the one keeping him in the pocket.
That's exactly right.
If he stays there, it's going to be a long.
Jalen Milroe, if I'm Texas A&M, you have to prove it to me through the air, buddy. That's how you're going to beat me.
And not against Zero.
No.
Not against Neck.
No.
Because he can, look, He can throw the ball if you give him a one-on-one matchup.
Yeah.
Because the answer's there. I know the answer you give me the answer to the test. You make me show my work. I can show my work. But if you don't give me the answer to the test and I got to go fishing for it, that's where Jalen Milroe screws up.
Yep. I think this game is decided by the front seven of A&M. I do.
Oh, with that, typically is. Typically is.
Appreciate it, Alex.
All
right.
Call in next week. Let's talk about it.
Hey, YouTube, thanks for stopping by. If you like this content, make sure you're subscribed. Turn that notification bell on so you know when we drop content. If you're watching this video, hit that like button. We really appreciate it. God bless America.